Chapter 3 Monster of the Monsters.
I need to show you something.
What? He opened his car door for me. I got in, feeling unstable, as if I was hovering on the edge of some curvature. Energy was coursing through me in radical waves that felt as spiky as his hair. "Where are you taking me?" I asked as he climbed into the driver's seat. He drove in silence at soaring speeds that made the sleeping world a blur. When we stopped the car, I looked at him in confusion and worry. He had taken me to an alleyway in the middle of downtown. There were 10 of them, all congregating in the alley, some with fat stomachs, some with small stomachs, some with grizzly beards, and some with tattoos and piercings. They all looked greasy though, they all were intoxicated, and they all were watching with anticipation.
Walk into the alley.
Michael finally spoke. "What the hell, are you deranged?" My enraged voice made his eyes glint.
I always am. Don't you remember? I sent you a list with all my psychological issues.
He responded matter-of-factly. I looked at him with gritted teeth. "I'm not going out there."
Trust me, you'll see.
I looked at him blankly. I didn't trust him, but his dark eyes glared into me, filling me with the impulse to get out of the car. And so that's what I did, slamming his dinged-up door hard as I approached the predators who had already begun their hooting and hollering. They immediately began surrounding me, speaking words of profanity and vulgarity. I was the prey. All they saw was the meat that would soon satiate their carnal desires. My panic peaked as I wondered if I had just been brought out here for Michael to fuel his sadism, to watch me get raped and murdered.
I've never planted my seeds in one exotic as her before.
The leader of the pack announced. He had 3 or 4 piercings in a row on his lips. He breathed on me, the smell of alcohol mixed with tooth decay pouring over my face. He reached out to touch my hair, circling me, affirming there was no way out now. His hand stopped in midair as if something was holding him back, and then he let out the kind of blood-curdling scream you would hear from a little girl that just saw Bloody Mary flash on her bathroom window. All of them reacted the same way, as if they saw death. And then they scattered, and they didn't look back.
Still angry at me?
Michael asked as he leaned against the dented car smugly. "What was that?"
He scared them off.
"Who?"
God help me.
He cried out humorously, raising his arms in supplication.
Ask them.
He said with a smirk, looking in the direction of the alley, but the brutes were now long gone. "Let's track one of them down so I can hear what they saw," I finally said, feeling lightheaded. The muscles in my eyelids and arms started involuntarily twitching in unease. With a smile, he opened my door like a real gentleman and said,
I have a better idea.
My hands were quivering. I looked on as Michael drove, watching him warily. He drove me to his house, giving me no indication as to what his plan entailed. As he opened the door to his room for me, his mischievous eyes flashed. I always wondered what his room would look like. Empty cans littered the floor all around his unmade bed. His guitar was obviously the only possession it seemed like he took care of, because its shining veneer projected it from the surrounding chaos. "So what's the plan?" I asked lightly as I sat on the edge of his bed, cagey of the smile that was forming on his beaming face.
You'll see,
he responded as he turned his room lights off and then turned these special FX lights on. With a click of a remote, he turned on his sound system that began playing some sort of death metal music that I guess he found sensual. He sat beside me on the bed and put his arms around me as his lips glided down my neck. "Michael, I can't." I whispered as I tried to pull away. He held me tighter as he whispered back.
I'm not. I'm just trying to show you something.
But still, I whispered as I resisted.
Please, I promise.
He whispered into my ear.
I just want you to see.
My stomach was burning. He continued kissing my neck and working his way down, and then pushed me onto the bed. His lips found their way back to mine and engulfed me in such a way that I forgot I didn't know how. It was strong enough, immense enough that something broke inside. I started knotting my fingers in his hair, twining my legs around him. His lips moved to the base of my throat as the strange music reached its climax, and then he started unbuttoning my top. Fire flashed before our eyes as he was wrenched off of me by an unexplainable force and thrown against the wall all the way to the other side of the room. Breathlessly, I got up, my top only missing one button, and there was Michael, hunched against the wall, no fire in sight. The air was electric. I felt charged. As if I even muttered, sparks would fly from my mouth, glinting off the surfaces of my teeth. Are you okay? My trembling whisper reached him.
Yes.
He said achingly as he slowly got up. His hand was to his chest. That was him? I asked.
Uh-huh.
His black eyes were glazed over as he moved his hand away from his chest. There were 2 handprints charred into his shirt. He opened his shirt a little to reveal the char had reached his skin, leaving red marks. I came towards him hesitantly to touch his skin. It was searing, like the kind of brand you'd put on a hide of cattle. We waited for a demonic roar, for anything to make his presence known. I waited for a flash of fire, hoping he would show himself, but unsure of what he could do, would do for that matter. All we heard was our own breathing.